I'm going to try and keep this video rather short. Anybody who knows me knows that I can ramble on and the, videos will be way longer than what I wanted. But I saw some people discussing the idea, the question of why would Yuno use a sword if he's got no training ever shown with a sword. We've seen him use like a spear at one point, but he wasn't like directly using it. He's using the wind to make a ranged weapon for that. And we've seen him use mostly like tornadoes, his spirit storm is a beam, and bows a lot of the time. And the question is, again, why would he use a sword if he's got no skill with the sword? There's obviously a lot of speculation behind his backstory. I still have the theory that he is the child of Licht and Tedia, and obviously with Tedia having wind magic and Licht having sword magic, this explain why Yuno has a combination of both. But I don't think it's a sword, and the reason why that is for one, you got to think about, again, throughout the entire series has been a ranged person. It would be kind of like weird for him to suddenly use a sword. It's not out of the question, but it's just very strange to see him use it. Again, I don't think it's a sword. And where I see it kind of being at is part of for the shape of it. You just look at the very strange shape of the sword. It's very, elongated, very thin, very kind of nimble looking. And the fact of how it was described, because how it was described reminds me of a similar situation that happened in Bleach. With the description exactly of Yuno when he used this sword from Lumire's, he used the wind to condense the small bits of magic that after being used could return to the air. And, he brought it upon himself, absorbed it back in, and it was able to use it. And now, one that could work on the spells of the demon. Now, again, and wind magic very much specializing in like magic sensory, being kind of like attuned with the magic around it, just kind of, again, getting a grasp on it. And there's a similar character in Bleach who specialized in like sensing and like kind of like Ryatsu, kind of like I want to just say acknowledgement. And he has a similar weapon. I'm just gonna bring that up here. Where is it? So Uryu Ishida, who was an archer for, in Bleach, he was a Quincy, and during a fight at the start of Waco Mundo, had a weapon called, hard to pronounce, Seele Schneider, and it was, debuted as kind of like a sword. And the way that it worked, he put kind of Ryatsu into it, made this kind of like blade. And it wasn't just like, oh, I have a sword I swing. He hits like energy attacks with it, and it breaks it up because it's actually like vibrating super fast. And then, break up energy and then absorb it, and kind of like empowering up the weapon as it's fighting. And that's kind of like what we got with the description of Yuno's weapon of Spirit of Zephyr, is the fact that he's absorbing not his own magic into making this. He's absorbing the magic of like the air and the area around him, other people's attacks after they've been used, kind of like the residual magical power that came off them. And what we saw when Uryu was using it, and he went up against the chick, hard to pronounce her name, something Thunder Witch Securi, I don't remember how the hell to pronounce her name. But when he used that, he revealed that it wasn't actually a sword, and it had like these areas come out on the sides to make part of the weapon into an arrow where he shot it. Now, look at something like that, you can kind of see that, him pulling it back, turning it into an arrow, and just the very quick, like, again, you can see kind of like near the back where near his fingers are knocking back the arrow, where it kind of had that little tail feather pieces of an arrow. I don't know what they're called. But then you look at Yuno's, and it could become that same thing. You look at the, again, very elongated handle, the very like weird kind of like centerpiece near the hilt, where it could easily have like kind of like spirit wind magic kind of like push into it, making it way bigger. And it would make more sense for him to use it as an arrow. And again, it has kind of almost like this arrowhead kind of tip like look to it. We'll see. I'm very curious about that, and it wouldn't surprise me because there's, you look back at a lot of older generations of manga, and they inspired a lot of kind of like what are closing up or kind of getting near their endpoint when you look at a lot of big hits. And now you have stuff like Black Clover and My Hero Academia that are taking a lot of inspiration of what was big when they were still kind of, getting on their feet, figuring out what they want to do. and getting to their own series. Now, is it, possible it's just a sword? Obviously, it could just be a sword that, uses. I still like to believe that it's going to be a bow, or an arrow for a bow, because of consistency of Yuno's abilities, what we've seen him kind of demonstrate. He's never been a straight-on ranged person. It would also make sense. Like, you can kind of imagine, Asta, one of them setting up for the other to finish. Like, you can just imagine, Asta goes in for the final blow on the demon, and right when that happens, the demon uses a spell that's going to screw over Asta. Pulls out, makes a spirit bow, pulls it back, and shoots that the spirit of Zephyr like an arrow, takes out the attack, and messes up the demon to, catch him off guard, to where Asta's able to use the anti-magic sword to, like, cut the dude's heart in half, or something like that. We'll see. Other than that, drop a comment below on what you thought about all this. Again, it's possible. It's possible it could be an error, like I said, given how it was described, his track record and the consistency of how he fights. But it could also just be a sword. But other than that, I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. We'll find out soon. The arcs, obviously, this is the last battle of it before we really see the close of the biggest arc in Black Clover that's taken up a third of the series total. And, I'd really appreciate if you check out my other videos, befriend the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.